All right, folks, welcome back to the Be the Bright podcast presented by Ridge Supply. My name is Matt Hawkins. I'm the owner of Ridge Supply. This is Jordan Spoon. He's the man behind our Ridge Supply Arsenal account, which is our ambassador group. And we're here with Claudia Behring, who is one of our ambassadors and an Arsenal member since 2019. We were just talking in the previous episode. Claudia spends a decent amount of time on Zwift and training indoors. And part of the reason is she's also a Canyon ambassador on their, what's it called? There's a special name and I can't remember.
We just renamed our team Canyon Esports.
Canyon Esports. Yeah. And I think it's interesting. I'd like to know a little bit behind your background of how do you get into that? Because you were a triathlete and then you've been doing it now for like 3 years or something, 3 or 4 years, right? Like since the early days of sort of the racing side of it. So tell us about.
I'm almost an OG.
Yeah, totally. Tell us about that, and then we'll get into the how can you text and ride, which is a skill.
So I remember looking at my friend's Strava because, we all look at Strava and stalk each other. And I'm like, what is this place called Watopia? What is this route? And why are you riding in the water? Because it like goes off a map. And so I asked my friend about it and he's like, Zwift. So you need to get on there. And it's like a month. And that time it was like $10 a month or something.
Yeah.
And you just need a power meter and you have one on your TT bike. So, you should just get like your dumb trainer and connect it. So I got connected right away. I got it. I don't know. That was like January of 2017.
Yeah.
And soon after I got a smart trainer, but it was like a wheel on smart trainer. And then I got a kicker. And then I've had a kicker ever since for years.
Do you have a climb as well?
I do.
Yeah,
yes.
So nice. I have one. I love it.
I used it virtual Everesting. I would highly recommend it if anybody ever wants to.
I'm going to bring this
up.
up.
I was going to bring this up. That was on my list.
This is a whole nother episode. We're going to have to talk about this. But yeah. So you got on Zwift because you didn't know what it was. I was a beta tester for
you're an OG.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, somehow you had to actually kind of apply. You had to like ask to be given access. And my story is kind of funny. Like, and I've told Jordan this. I had a dumb trainer and I didn't have a power meter, and Zwift was like the wild, wild west. And you got on there, and I rode what I would say is really hard for about 30 minutes. And I was, how you get on Zwift and like, if you didn't have any metrics, you're just literally just going full gas. I mean, it's like a crit race. You're just doing everything you can. Well, I was getting all this feedback from Zwift that I was the man, like I was doing like 35, 40 miles an hour on flat roads. And I was throwing out massive power, and I was getting sprint jerseys. I was getting KOM jerseys. I was getting lap jerseys, all these things. And this is like super early days. And and I thought I was like, dude, yes, finally somebody's telling me how good I really am, and all basically like my trainer, they only had like a couple trainers that you could pick. Back then you would just pick a trainer. You would say like, I have a Ceres, whatever. And it would calculate your power. I don't know how in the world it would do that. But so mine was way off. And I was probably throwing out 800 watts, but it was hilarious because they were flagging my rides like left and right and totally, just going nuts. So it was kind of funny. I got embarrassed that, my, all these.
Here you are thinking you're amazing. And then all of a sudden it's like, wake up call.
And they had segments, the segments back then used to be able to KO them. You can't really do that anymore, I don't think, right? Like they can do PRs, but they don't have like a leaderboard.
There's a Strava board for all these segments in Zwift, by the way. I did have some crowns for a while, but then it's like, okay, all right, whatever.
Yeah, people come along. So I'm sorry to derail you, but yes. So
no worries. They still have that. It's called Zwift Power. And sometimes people try to hop in races and people like call them out because there's a way that you can see who's on like Zwift Power versus like a power meter, and I'm just like, whatever, just race hard. Like,
so the community's kind of small, right? As far as like the elite riders, and you kind of know everybody, don't you? I mean, like,
yeah. I mean, I would
because-
say, well, in women, it's been different, right? So there's a lot of them because of this COVID thing, and some of the men
yeah,
that have popped up. I mean, there's a lot of us that have been racing for at least the last year, know each other for sure.
Yeah.
And if you're on the elite race scene, the ones that are invitation only, we all know each other.
yeah.
I
Well,
guess so people kind of understand how you are in that elite. Pulling up Zwift Power, you race for Canyon, which I guess is now Canyon Esports, which is pretty impressive in and of itself. And on here, you've got 2018 USA Zwift Women National Champion. So
That's right.
that in and of itself, that's pretty impressive. And just so people realize, you are quite a bit of that Zwift celebrity, and you've
Yeah.
done some impressive stuff on Zwift, and you're not just out here racing,
just like
or
in your
riding
house,
around.
just goofing off. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Well, I mean, kind of in a way. It's definitely very painful goofing off, and I
Yeah.
probably could do other things for fun. But yeah, no, I got into racing because there was Zwift Academy a couple of years ago, and I'm like, what's Zwift racing? Like, why is there racing in Zwift? Oh, okay. At that time, I was on a TT bike. That was the only bike I had. And even up until the USA Nationals, I was pretty much always on a TT bike. I was also at sea level. I'm just going to put that disclaimer in there. And
Yeah,
Zwift
big
does not give
difference.
you an adjustment for sea level. And it took me all of last year, and I broke my wrist last year to try to get used to boulder altitude, because we're just over a mile high in the sky where I'm at. And yeah, it's definitely noticeable. Even now, like, my numbers are down a lot more. So I always said, if there's like another USA Nationals or World Champs or something for Zwift, then I'm going to go down to sea level.
Go to like the
and
Dead
do it,
Sea or
but
something and set your trainer up. Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, you and I have chatted about that some, just you being at altitude and doing some of this racing, and how it does affect you.
So
It's a sore subject for a lot of people. Yeah.
but you guys are you're so in the beginning of regulations and weeding out variables and all that stuff. And there's definitely do they call it e-doping, or I don't even know, but like just the
Well,
way
there's so much I could tell you about all this, and like, there's ways that you can mess with your power meter to get it to read high.
Yeah.
Of course, there's people that want to say they weigh less. Now, with the races that I do, where it's like the serious races where they are doing money, or there's like some sort of prestige ran by Zwift, we have to do weigh-in. Like, now the invitation is that we have to do a height video and a weigh-in video within 24 hours prior to, not the height one every time, but the 24 hours prior to the race. And then within 2 hours, you're supposed to dual record. So you have a power meter connected to your bike, and then your power source is supposed to be your smart trainer. And then you're supposed to send those files to ZADA, the regulation jury, or whatever, if you will, for Zwift. And within 2 hours of your race. And they're supposed to be analyzing those and disqualifying people based
Have you ever been disqualified, like because Scotty Weiss, who's out here in Virginia, he's been doing Zwift for a long time. He's former U.S.
I met
pro
him
national
at CVS World Cup.
And he's also, he was actually world champion at Masters recently in the TT and the road. Like, the dude's legit. But what people don't understand is he's tiny. He's tiny. And so his power to weight is off the charts, and they get canceled or get disqualified. And I don't understand how, after you've done, like, you guys, your weight and height aren't going to change very much. Once you've done
I'm trying to change my weight.
Once you've done your videos and you know what I mean? You guys do your weigh-ins. It's not like all of a sudden you're going to drop 20 pounds overnight. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what's kind of weird, that they would disqualify people. Is it power meters that is causing that? Is like all of a sudden somebody's throwing out different FTP kind of, or not FTP, but power to weight numbers that they didn't before? Do you know?
There's so many red tape and rules and stuff. It's literally, there's a Bible that is multiple pages long, and you have a certain select time frame that you're supposed to get your information to them, and it's supposed to read a certain way. And then at that time, when he was disqualified, there was a test regulation that you have to do. Basically, and it's a hard test, and literally you have like 48 hours to give it to them, and if the numbers are not in line, well, I mean, this is just my opinion, but if I just raced a Zwift race, I'm not going to be ready to go put out personal best for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I was going to say. Isn't that test like basically all the kind of standard power measurements that you got to go out and do so many times at it and prove you can hold it and do all that?
So what our team has done is already went out with the same power meter that we're dual recording with, and did all those segments and have a sheet and files already ready to go to send to them if this should ever be a case.
Yeah.
Which at that time was, he didn't know that he needed to do that. So
yeah, it was kind of new. Yeah.
Yeah. They're still kind of making it up as they go, and it's getting better, and it's come a long ways. But,
Sure.
There's still more things that could be done.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, tell us real quick how you text on these rides, not in the races, but when you're doing, if you're texting during the races, then you really are elite. But if you're doing it with the group rides, how do you do that? Are you doing it on Companion? Is that how you're?
Yeah, so I have a whole, my setup is legit. I have a gaming computer, the whole streaming device, a wireless keyboard, and of course, Companion app running. So I have a million things going at once. And yeah, Companion app, you got to be on the same internet as what your Zwift is running from.
Yeah.
Number one. And then, so yeah, you can use voice chat to text, also in the group things. But personally, for the rides that I've been leading, the power is my recovery, or even less than my recovery pace.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like once I figure out what that power feels like for the one ride I was leading, it was like 90 to 100 watts. I mean, that's pretty chill. So literally, I would not even look at my power, and people, I mean, there was 300 of us. Like, even if I am not perfectly on power, I'm still in a group as long as people are riding with the beacon. And at that time, there was a fence where I could keep everybody within like 20, 30 seconds of me. Right. But anyways, yeah, I use voice chat to text, and honestly, I'm really good at texting. I don't know. I also text during races, sometimes.
Are you sitting up?
Because
Are you sitting
I'm one of
up
those
when you're
people in races, I chat with people during races in real life. So somebody else chatted something the other day, and I'm like, we're coming for you. Just trying to be a dork, but never caught them, but whatever.
That's awesome. Well, I do think that it's really cool that you have been able to, show your class, in that forum. And I know it's going to get better, and folks are going to get, more people are I think this year brought a lot of people to that forum.
Oh yeah. It's gotten way harder. I'm just one of the OGs.
For sure.
I'm here to help the young people get better. That's basically what I've, I had my day, and maybe, hey, if I went back to sea level, maybe, or if I lost maybe 10 pounds, I might be in better shape, but hey, it's all good.
It's cool.
Not getting any younger. I'm almost 40. It's all good.
Well, I got you beat. So if you need to subscribe down here, next video is over here. We're going to be back for one more here with Claudia. Thank you so much. End of